talking about.
Yeah, we were just talking about this. So the final map in the series will be Rialto. So King's Row goes in favor to the San Francisco Shock. We are not map 6, we are map 7. This will be all Shiro here as a striker. Is going to stay in the game. So we've seen Rascal come in for the Shock. That's about it. No substitutions for Atlanta the entire time. So no Enlayer, no FRD, no Dako, none of those players coming in. They've been playing Gator in the Sigma role, and he's been quite good. So.
Yeah, I mean, Trickoven plays a bit more supportively. He's not as aggressive on that Sigma role, so Gator looks better when we look at our stats here. And at the end of the day, though, it's a team game, and the Shock and Rain are both vying for this last map.
Atlanta play the Fara Bastion on defense. So,
yes, that old one, yeah.
They'll have Dogman play the Batiste, so he'll stay up on the high ground with the tanks and the Bastion. And then with the Fara, you have the Versi. So if they try and dive on top of the Bastion, you'll be able to shoot all the Fara rockets down on top.
And this is a throwback to what we saw on Horizon with Colony, the Mercy Mimics.
They leave Sinatra here at the beginning of the choke. Potentially try and move the car, but Ursa's going to fight this. Yeah, I mean, Sinatra's really low, has to back out.
Okay, now how do you get rid of this? Oh dear, nice little concussive blast on the high ground. Lots of already came into the drink. Even with any mortality field there. Oh no, he's done it again! What a monster!
Oh man.
Brings the Rain to their knees and the carts! He's on the road!
Shades of agility.
You thought you could get away with that, didn't you, Atlanta? Come on!
No, let's take another look at this from Boss POV.
Another day in the office. That's the first.
Let me go back right up there.
Get out of my house!
That is nasty. So, Striker still on the Reaper here. Sinatra goes back to Duke. This goes on Tracer for a little bit. So, Babybay will get one Ursa with another. So Atlanta stabilizes. Although it's pretty flashy from the Shock to get the cart going in this next fight. It's all Atlanta.
I mean, you're definitely thinking about, can they stave off tilt? The answer is yes. The Rain are dialed in. It is the decider map of this series, and even a 4K won't stop that.
It's pretty big though for Atlanta to get that next fight win. The people in here going crazy, you know, the big move, a lot of emotion going on.
It's the momentum for the Shock that they've always used to propel themselves forward. Slowed up a bit now. And there's no chance for any cheesy moves here. You've got to do the old-fashioned way. Nose to the grindstone. Soundberry here for Mom. Again, two support ultimates in this fight, but Dogman and Gator are caught out. Babybay tries to get into the back line. Again, it's back and forth. These teams winning at alternate maps now on Rialto, winning at alternate fights. This should pave the way now for the Shock.
Because of the changes on defense here for Atlanta, some of their players are going to be behind in terms of ultimates. You will probably get another touch here though. You challenge underneath the bridge.
They have good ultimates here. They can counter with sound barriers. The Shock don't have a sound barrier for Gator's preventing flux. You may not even need it.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. Sound barrier from Ursa still came out.
Every time you think the Shock are going to start running away with it and make a play and really take control of the game, Atlanta battles back tough. I mean, they come through with a big fight. That one, you're able to hold on to your gravitic flux. Ursa picks up 2 kills. Now look, I mean, you're going to have your coalescence, you're going to have the gravitic flux, meteor strike, death blossom. It doesn't look that bad. You got a minute left on the clock here for the Shock.
And Gator is just hoping, waiting for the Shock to present themselves, all nice and clumped up for him to send them skyward. Gravitic flux from the Shock first. Gator, oh! Interrupted! Got him with the accretion! Oh, it couldn't have gone any worse for him! Ursa drops down. I mean, he can only really get that 1 kill. Death Blossom from Striker and Babybay in that fight, but the Shock! Everything coming up for them in that last fight. One of the deadliest components of the Rain, Gator and his gravitic flux, taken offline.
And they'll get that first point, which is difficult to do on Rialto. Pretty convincing map here. They'll get the cart over the bridge, see what Atlanta decides to do on defense. Where do they want to fight? Do they want to jump out? They want to be aggressive out the window. They're going to go with a coalescence. That'll be a punch from Sinatra. Comes on through on a Dogman, so not going to have that coalescence back him up.
I mean, that's so big. A fight where Sinatra actually gets nothing going early on. The Shock's still able to dominate. Now, while Sinatra's busy repositioning, he eventually gets the finish on Gator, but that was Striker and Co on the ground.
And
much more they could do than to throw out those hyperspheres. And a time extension for the Shock now with 2 minutes left to play.
It doesn't seem like from the player cams on the stage that Atlanta's flustered. It seems like everybody's remaining calm in the comms. You know, trying to get battle back through this. It seems like these final fights for both of these points go in favor of the Shock. It's really backbreaking for Atlanta. Now, Coalescence has started off.
Sinatra really didn't get started in that fight, Matt. Talk about feast or famine for Doomfist. That was a perfect example of the latter. And Erster, who's, if you know a bit of German, name means first. You know that even his moniker is created around wanting to go for number one.
That's what we talked about with Doomfist. You go in, you go with a punch. If you hit one, great, you may end up with a kill.
If you hit a bullet by Arissa, you're in trouble.
If not, there's the halt there, the accretion. You need a lot of help to be able to get out.
Right, another big Rabbinic Flux opportunity coming up for Yeoman. Keep an eye on Erster. Playing the bridge, Sinatra knows that he's there as well. Accretion, no connection. Striker comes off second best in that head-to-head. The train is there, though. Gators down. Meteor striking close quarters. Troy Hogan throws him up. Ideally defensively there. Gets taken down by his own splash damage, but this is going to be enough. It's messy, very messy. And it won't guarantee the Shock a map completion, but it keeps them going.
It gives them a good opportunity to do so. They're going to have to go back and escort some players. Their final push here, potentially, but you do have the supercharger from Popo. No support ultimates to deal with it. Gator also going to get close to the Gravitic Flux with no support ultimates for the Shock. So 28 seconds left. The Shock needed to invest into that last fight, but Atlanta has an opportunity to stall this out a while to get these big ultimates.
Yeah, Shock maybe just playing for extra distance and nothing more. Smurf Shield gets burst down just as he's drawn in with the halt. Gator sitting back but accruing a lot of damage via the hyperspheres and almost ready to let it go. Violet, he's trying to charge bullet. He's actually throwing damage orbs in.
They have to get the Coalescence. That's how they would survive the Gravitic Flux.
Oh, Sinatra! Doesn't last long, gets involved. Babybay cleans him up quickly. This Gravitic Flux. Yeah, this could be the nail in the coffin here. Smurf goes down to Babybay. The rest of the Shock can drop down. Gator's looking for an accretion hit on towards the Reaper. Striker eventually falls. Babybay with his third in the fight. That'll do it! And again, the Atlanta Reign are able to set up their win condition. The Shock push a long way through this map, though, and Rialto is treacherous, to say the very least.
So Rialto can be very good on the defensive side. You see the Atlanta Reign. I believe that's Popo with this.
Well, he's playing Arissa. What do you expect?
He's getting knocked all over the place. The Doomfist coming in. The Reaper is really difficult for the Orissas to do any type of crap, really. But for Atlanta, you know, like you mentioned, you know exactly where you need to get the cart to win this map. The Shock, you're like, no, maybe at home, you're like, I needed to hold on to some of those ultimates. But you don't use those ultimates with 20, 30 seconds on the clock. You may not even get the cart around that corner and even inside down the street. So that was their best chance to get a map completion. It doesn't work out in their favor as Atlanta can play pretty defensive around both shields, a lot of the pillars inside. I was wondering, with Atlanta just kind of talking a mile a minute up there, whether they were going to come out with something a little bit cheesy.
Well, they're trying to mix something up on the fly. Can you imagine the coaching staff here that want to change something? They're sitting in the dugout. It's like a crucial junction.
Just about to like run out onto the stage.
Sefi's just the most of it. So it will be Bastion.
I mean, I was on him, honestly, if there was something that you would try here,
Let's try once.
it would be a Bastion on the card. The double shield, the immortality field, it's something that if they were going to run the Doom Reaper on defense, you may be able to take advantage of. See if they stick on.
Well, there won't be extra innings one way or another. And this is Atlanta Reign's last attacking push of the series.
It'll be interesting how the Shock decide to play this. You can't really get as aggressive as you'd like. The immortality field will keep the Bastion alive. Erster also can get into the supports on the back line. Does it look like they're going to get off of the cart and take the high ground here?
So they leave the cart. They're going to try and win a fight here now. I wonder what happens if the Shock don't give them a fight. They're just trying to get Babybay up here. They'll keep moving. Oh, what is that? Okay. Babybay 180s to the ground. They flip the script on the Shock. No casualties yet, though. Babybay doesn't have good sightlines.
They have to push up because you can contest the cart from right inside there. A lot like on Junkertown. in that first choke point, you can contest the car from.
I mean, look, you love being doofused here, Matt. There's no walls on your side, plenty on theirs.
Sinatra goes to Tracer. What do you see Striker play? If you play the Reaper?
Take on the Reaper. I mean, no, you can't play Song.
No, I think the Reaper still is a good pick here. Is Violet will have Coalescence, so you try and Coalescence. I mean, try and fight this.
Ursa's playing that high ground position right now. Through the pounce. The shock step forward. Babybay had to be in recon mode for a brief period of time. Now back into Sentry. Spraying the bullets. That was Poku. Yep, into the drink. Nothing Chukyoban could have done. Couldn't even have saved himself with the gravitic flux and the Atlanta rain. This is looking pretty good. Almost 5 minutes on the dial.
Take a look at this on a Choi yet again. So right around the corner. Sigma's feet not big enough. Stay on the net there. Sigma's feet is on topic of conversation.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know why it's such a big Smurf on the wrecking ball. Switch up. Okay, implication matrix place off the payload. Immortality field also there. They're pretty safe right now, the rain. Until that expires and it has dust done. Striker gets rid of Master, but the shock have lost Smurf here. They've really lost the battering ram. And Ursa's just doing guard duty around the payload. But Striker's able to come through and get 2 quick kills. He gets rid of Ursa and Babybay. There has to be more than that though, and it just isn't.
Massa will come back on the Lucio. He's probably going to go back though. You're trying to get Babybay. You need Babybay back on the core.
Smurf's on the high ground.
It's not just a good job. He's actually playing the offhand back. The Trevor can defend themselves against Tracer pretty well. Wasn't able to finish that kill.
Smurf was trying to support Canvas Bastion. I think Striker might try and play from the single angle here. First has to get out. He's way too far forward. Tank mode configuration. It has to be a sound barrier for the shot to keep themselves alive, and even that isn't enough. Chukyoban, kinetic grasp needs up a lot of those rockets from the tank mode configuration, but Babybay now is going to get the old pea shooter out, have a crack at it. Forces Sinatra away. Smurf is down, and that's another checkpoint. The Rain have all the time in the world.
It's a ton of time. I mean, for Atlanta, this feels like an eternity. You have no ultimates, but still they have shown that they have not been able to get this bastion off of the payload. They have just pulled the payload on through the map. 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock to get this done. Chukyoban does have that gravitic flux. You think he's going to be able to land everyone? Everybody's playing on the card.
Babybay again, looking for the Lucas here with a great shot. Smurf gets him, but he gives his last point. Ursa's looking pretty bad on the back line though. Low health, and Dogman also going to be removed. The shock finally break the Bastion. But there's so much time left for the Rain to come up with something new.
You have to play perfect here for San Francisco down the stretch. They're going to try and match you in the Reaper Doomfist here as we move in towards the final parts of this map. Sound barrier available for Massa here. You know they just used the gravitic flux. You can use this offensively now. Just kind of use the Reaper as a battering ram. Go on forward.
Shock have to dig deep like we may never have seen them before. To win out here. Chukyoban knocked up, Accretion. Oh, Ursa!
So you do lose Ursa here early. You're going to lose this fight. The small benefit of it though is that they used the coalescence and you didn't use anything. You were probably going to sound barrier there, but Ursa dies so quick that you don't have the opportunity to use it. Now you come back. Look at this for Atlanta. You're gonna have 5 ultimates here. You have full support ultimates. You're gonna have the gravitic flux. You're gonna have the supercharger. Like you're in a great spot. Like imagine if they didn't have the sound barrier here, or let's say they didn't use the coalescence. That's a lot of extra abilities they would not have on the table. Really strong ones as well.
Best chance for Atlanta now. They have to make it count. Death Blossom defensively from Striker. Gravitic Flux is going to knock him up, and Poke gets him in midair. Sinatra gets rid of Babybay, but Ursa's looking for more now. They've got the kills. The final checkpoint isn't far away, but will require potentially another fight. Coalescence here for the shot. Wrecking ball for Smurf. He has to switch to something more mobile now. Can he even touch the shock? They have to step up to the plate now in a big way. The Accretion thrown in, shielded off. Smurf going to drop down with a pile driver. Sound barrier now for the shock, and they are chopping at the bit. Refusing to let their house be taken over. Gravitic Flux catches 2, and they're down. fight, but again, Matt, those support ultimates have to be blown just to keep the shock in this match.
Yeah, we're talking about, so like you see how close the like you're talking about a minimal amount of distance to get this for Atlanta. When you have a minute 50, looking at like a 2-3 fights maybe if you're Atlanta, depending on how fast you start going here. Coalescence could be huge.
And Massa is credited with being a very good old track athlete. Let's see if he's been able to follow these fights so far and know that the shock has nothing to work with ultimate-wise. It's all old-fashioned kills here. Left and right click, baby. Massa playing safe here, threw him away. First is very low, though. The shock are really grouping up together, but that corner is to get taken out into that blossom. Oh, no! It's cut short. Finally gets the coalescence just in time. 2 coalescences and 2 fights isn't enough. Mock and Violet both knocked away now. The Sound Barrier going to be coming out for the Atlanta Rain. Then Blossom from Striker and Babybay respectively find little each. But Popo's missing. Asta! Jetsmoth! Big rocket punch across. Meteor strike from Sinatra doesn't get anything, but he at least is back in the fray, and Erster is overwhelmed. Massa's chased out, and they've done it again!
They've had 4 minutes plus Atlanta to get from point B to the golden box to victory. It is so close that they have not been able to crack the Shock's defense in this choke.
San Francisco on the precipice, man.
The Shock, the only thing that can get the Shock in trouble here is Popo gets the supercharger, you may have to use his sound barrier, and then you don't have it for the gravitic flux.
30 seconds.
Wants the combo.
Gravitic flux, Skater had to be a sound barrier. Smurf able to stay alive, but for how long? A flux also coming out from the Shock. Smurf is down. Massa is removed. It's a 1-for-1, but Popo's supercharged. Possibly the greatest team in the league this year has just committed a cardinal sin of Overwatch. They walk off the card in the Atlanta Rain, pull up one of the most exciting attacking pushes we haven't seen. And yeah, they look calm right now, but I guarantee you inside they are all aflutter.
The push was good from Atlanta, but that was all Shock at the end. 4 minutes plus on the clock.
They had to win in that fight.
Had to hold it. And they had the advantage in that fight. You know, they lose Smurf in the beginning.
Violet was about to get coalescence in that fight. He was 95% of his ultimate when the round ended.
Let's take a look at this again. This is wild. We take a look from the overhead. So the gravitic flux comes down. Sound barrier. All comes in.
Oh, he's in the air. And
Joy's on.
yeah, it was Smurf getting taken down. He was supposed to be the closest.
There's 4 players in the back trying to deal with Erster. And they just, maybe they thought that Choi was going to get up. Which is odd, from the sense that this just tells you they want to double down on the ball comps, but they've been losing on these compositions, you know, with OG and Yaki playing really well. We can take a look at Aiming's player resume by Indeed. He was a 2-time All-Star, and obviously his stats on Wrecking Ball are fantastic, because he was just playing a ton, right? I mean, it was the only thing we really saw him play. We saw him incorporate some Winston. I know we had a moment in time, I think, where he played the Reinhardt against the Titans when Bumper was there, and that kind of spawned the whole, the Amen Giga Chat thing. So maybe they play something else, but if you were going to play something else, you would keep it Gaga.
I'm sorry.
He's been really good.
There's a world where if you're on the ropes here, you know what I mean? It's like a Rocky film. I don't know. It's like, you know, you're going to light a candle and at the foot of Mount Olympus, and you're going to pray, and your God comes to deliver you certain lines. And lo, he hath answered Matthew.
Yeah, and I feel like with Chengdu thus far, is obviously you see the Florida Mayhem up 2-0 in the series. You go to Blizzard World, this is Chengdu's pick again. I feel like if you were to say, like, well, what's going wrong, like, you know, I wouldn't have said, like, Gaga is kind of, you know, not playing well. They just haven't done anything to help protect the supports, map number 1.
But is that on else?
Map far away.
Look, who's that on?
I mean, what are you supposed to do when you're playing ball Orisa? How do you and your supports are up on the high ground? How do you protect them from ball tracer? Like, and they're playing a Diva. It's just
so there's no mechanism to deal with
or even when they're playing Sigma. Yeah, I mean,
unless the ball comes back and tries to take responsibility for them, but that doesn't really. That seems like counterintuitive to what the ball's trying to do. They're trying to be disruptive, pressure backlines instead of babysitting their own.
Yeah, we'll see what they decide to play here. Chengdu, I fully expect them to just keep committing to these wrecking ball compositions. And if you're the Florida Mayhem, as soon as you see the substitution come in, you exactly know what's going to happen. They wouldn't be subbing an Eamon to come play Reinhardt. They wouldn't be taking out Gaga to bring a name in to play like even Winston, right? It really only has to be the ball, but even then, like, Gaga's ball is very highly rated. You one of the best in the league thus far. I think it's really it's not a player situation. I think it's just some of the comps, but we'll see if I'm wrong with that. As it'll be ball Sigma with the Zenyatta for both teams. This will be Leave probably making a switch to Tracer. Yep. So the mirror compositions yet again.
And again, the question is going to be, what does Elsa do now? See, not on the Orisa as before, so this doesn't make any sense here. So you'll be able to see the Sigma actually do more to protect the rest of the team. But look at his attention. Amon, quite the welcome I think he's received here from the Mayhem. Very quickly staved off.
Gets the Discord work straight away, a ton of damage. There's 4 players for Chengdu working their way towards the point. And the Florida Mayhem not even be thinking about taking that fight. They're actually trying to deal with Leave on the other side. They're not able to do so. Leave actually makes a huge play getting Gangnam Jin. This may result in 2 ticks.
I mean, BKB completely forced out of line of sight. It takes a headshot, I think, from Jimmy, and it's just so boom, he doesn't even want to play on the point anymore. Gargoyle also needs to be very, very careful. Look at this. Quite ballsy there. Slime goes across the point to get the res, or the heal rather, and both wrecking balls have gone down now. How does Yaki salvage his fight? He's midway through the fight. He's going to come in lane. People won't be looking at him yet, but he immediately gets a Discord orb from far away. Immediately recalls, but that's when BQB comes alive. Far away, I mean, those are both headshots. Those are consecutive hits from BQB.
And they still want to fight this. That's going to be the Bob all the way through. Nisha's going to get a res on Farway. The Bob isn't in a spot to contest the point, though, as Gangnam Jin deals with Jimmy's Bob. And now it'll be the Bob from the BQB. Used to just kind of look across the point there.
Again, BQB, again, another headshot onto Leave. That's not expected of you. You're just really not expected to be able to shut down a Tracer like that. You play the Tracer because she's hard for Ash to kill like that. And yet, surpassing expectations is BQB. I think the DPS player on this team that gets much less accolades, much less hype around him because he's very consistent. He's low economy, and yet stuff like that, I mean, you can't count on it, but here he is delivering it.
Yeah, he's just not as flashy as Yaki, right? When you go on with Yaki, you fully expect to see like the highlight reel plays, right? The ones that end up in a lot of our packages, but BQB is just rock solid. Most of the Mayhem playing the point. Yeah.
He's taking a gigantic steaming bite out of the Hunters right now. Every time someone steps up towards him, he is there. Okay, so here's the minefield on the point. That's Amon's, by the way. That's why Gargoyle takes an absolute shellacking as he tries to get on the point. The Transcendence. Oh my god. Saving Private Gargoyle. Gundam gets there. Gundam gets there just in time. And it's Gargoyle that gets rid of Amon, who overextends to try and find the kill on the Sigma. That is so big. Again, by the way, Leave dead to BQB, who is just unstoppable right now. And Yaki's just flexing, just stretching some quick squats as he gets ready for the next fight.
And it's one of the same combos that the Florida Mayhem used on Volskaya. They were actually playing the point there. They knew that the pressure was going to come in from Chengdu rather quickly because they had the minefield. They know that the way that Chengdu played on Volskaya, they tried to use, and even on Lijiang Tower, remember when Gaga used the minefield to try and take the point? They knew that that type of play was going to come in. But a Gravitic Flux from Gargoyle, and then OG drops the minefield right underneath it. Just so much damage. They do not know where Yaki is. Look at this. How is he supposed to live? I mean, yeah, there's not a chance.
Took a while, but Yaki gets the job done. Pulse bomb, doesn't find a kill, and somehow Nisha kept Elsa.
Oh, Yaki actually, that is so big brain. He actually, he knew that Elsa was going to be the health
Fleta gets the headshot kill and leaves found 2 consecutive. Gargoyle going down to the false bomb here. In the battle of the traces, Lee finally comes out on top in that fight. Gives the Hunters a chance at this.
Is this, okay, BQB, I was going to say, I was like, there's no way he's locking the legs. It's just to try and potentially get back to the point. Elsa will switch back to Sigma, so this is really all going to be about high ground control for the Florida Mayhem. Can Gargoyle gets it up here with BQB, and BQB up on the high ground is going to be difficult for Jimmy to deal with.
How do they go about trying to get that high ground? So Jimmy plays like a real peripheral angle here. Not looking for the Ash 1v1, just trying to benefit from the Sigma shield and get the shield pressure himself. He has Bob, so maybe he's hoping that the Mayhem are prompted to start a fight on the low ground, but that was a salvo from Gangnam Jin that keeps Jimmy honest.
Yeah, they know that OG has to have minefield, so they don't want to play completely out in the open by the cart. Everybody pretty spread out now for the Chunky Hunters. A bobbin from the high ground comes in here from Jimmy, so this is going to try and get them the payload progress underneath the bridge, which they're getting right now.
Yeah, it works. It buys them enough space here. Now the Mayhem are in a worse spot. They can't go up the high ground just yet because the mines are still persisting. They'll eventually despawn, but that buys a decent amount of time for Chunky. Look, they're still there. It's so annoying. Yaki though makes his way back up. BQB looks uncontested right now. Leads him to the Discord orbit is fighting elsewhere, so Bob gets sent down. I mean, it's just a drive-by for Amon here, really. BQB scratches up the paint, insurance will cover it, surely. And there's the payload. It's inches from that next checkpoint, but the Hunters aren't as close as they seem. There's a lot of work to be done here. And getting rid of Gangnam Jim is definitely number 1 on that list.
As they pocket him, trying to keep him alive. Transcendence for both teams. So it was the Florida Mayhem holding on to their Valkyrie a little bit longer, allowing them to stay pretty healthy throughout this fight. It was Nisha using it really early on, and when they used it, Florida just backed up. There really wasn't anything going on in the fight. Slime was able to use that Valkyrie to great effect. And you see Yaki.
Oh no! The chat is returned! He descends from the mountains of Olympus to blessing his father Zeus, and he just ends them. He's just ending careers. Oh my god. That would have been it, man.
Everything going on.
That would have been it.
I mean, look at this thing now. The Chunky Hunters are spawning here. Everybody on the Florida Mayhem is playing up on this high ground, like the .2 defense. This is back at Leave is now on Widowmaker to try and clear these players out. How are you going to clear out with Tracer? They're just playing around the corners.
There's no way you're not angry. You're furious about this.
Yeah, I mean,
Jimmy somehow.
Bob from both teams. Bob the contest here from Florida. Is Elsa using the gravity, the kinetic grasp in front of the Bob to soak up the damage so they can get the car moving. What a game.
I mean, this is as close to berserk as I've ever seen any team go. They have just lost all awareness of where they are right now. And they're just right here.
So obviously, I have the caster feed that we use, but then I also have the luxury of having the mini map, and the back half was so fast. Like Eamon just kind of rolls out. That does one of these wrecking ball rollouts. Wrong with Yaki, he picks up 2 kills. Everybody from Florida just kind of standing around. He rolls directly to the car. Not even no questions asked. Rolls directly to the car, just rolls the car in. I mean, there was there's no sneaking around. He just a fast drive by. And
no cardboard boxes needed. Unbelievable.
No. But get this, it took them so long to get back to the payload because tremendously positioned from the Florida Mayhem up the high ground. That we're at 20 seconds left already here.
I mean, yeah, Yaki, how mad are you? Pulse bomb is evaded by Jimmy so far. Now looking for that trace ahead. Tough to pluck, and OG catches him by surprise. He backs up into a mine. Who put that there, Jimmy asks. He's brought back into the fight now, and Gangnam Jim is in deep trouble. Yeah, he's done. Amon, 1 HP on the card. BQB clears him up. And this is a lot of good zone control for the Mayhem, but they're lacking on players. Gargoyle can't be pocketed enough here by Slime, who's the only support on the battlefield right now. He has to back up as well. And Hunters, through a divine intervention, an opportunity granted by the deity that is Amon, have a chance of finishing the map here. Bobby's down, leave a little low, but that's a recall force from Yaki already. Elsa out of the picture is a bit rough here. The Mayhem have the ability to make it work. BQB pretty uncontested right now. Yeah, he gets leave. Another headshot's ridiculous. Jimmy reciprocates though. Gets the kill on Yaki. Keeps the Hunters in it. Here's the Valkyrie from Nisha. A resurrect to bring leave back. Jimmy goes down again. But still, it's Amon and Nisha. He's in the fight. Leave also gets rid of Slime. And the numbers are with Chongdu right now. OG's got to come back to the cart and try to keep it going. But here's Yaki. He's the king of overtimes right now. Minefield, no one moving into it though. Very clever stuff. They really avoid that quite well, the Hunters. And now here comes Gargoyle. Nighttime apparently. He can spring to life. Amon's just going to sit on the cart here. Pile driver the mini diva so she can't stay alive any longer. Yaki, you can see that healing from Slime constantly making the Tracer hard to get rid of. But BQB goes down elsewhere and this is definitely over now. The Hunters have the numbers in the most unlikely scenario. The death-defying Pandas.
Oh man.
Just ridiculous.
That was vintage Chengdu. I mean, that was crazy. They're able to back half, then they have to play out of the second point spawn, but they're not able to make their way back to the cart because it would have been great positioning for the Florida Mayhem if the cart didn't get all the way to the second point. It was fantastic because they just turned around. Yeah, check this out. Just roll around.
They see me rolling, they hate him. Oh yeah, the streets is real, Mayhem.
Yeah, I love it. I would love to see that again. How he just takes it, and then as soon as he gets to the point, he just rolls the opposite way. Just going back to where he came from. So they do complete the map. You know, it's they bring in Eamon. A little bit surprising. I don't think either of us would have said Gaga was playing bad on the ball. I actually thought it was kind of more the compositions, but maybe bringing in Eamon gives a little bit of life here to Chengdu. He's your ball player only, right? I mean, that's all he's going to play. So they now go back to the ball Larissa.
Okay, alright. You have my attention. I wonder how, yeah, okay, so again, like we mentioned, this is easier for Yaki to circumvent. The question is, does Lee stay at home and sort of do housework and defend, or does he go off to work and try and earn a living? That's the question.
If they force them off of the high ground, like Elsa rotating with the Zen, the person is just so slow. They already have to give up the high ground. Moji just rolls to the left, gets to the point, they just give up the high ground completely. So Farway is split off on his own. Yaki's
So this is where Yaki gets some action right, surely. How far around this is wrapped? Not clear to us right here. Car driver, Slime, somehow stays alive. And yeah, the man who really is the linchpin here, Jimmy's big finish. Big finish. Also resurrected Gargoyle. Slime can't be punished. Yeah! Oh my god! He wasn't even aiming at him! That is astounding! BQB's able to find the headshot though. Just okay, buddy. Whatever you say. Didn't know we had a Hanzo main in the server.
That is the stuff that we've seen from Jimmy, though. I mean, his aim is real clean. You lose aim, and now you don't have a res. You just use the res on Jimmy, so you're gonna have OG back in the fight rather quickly. This could be pretty bad for Chengdu. They have to keep Elsa alive on the point.
Here comes OG swinging in. Little bit of a mistake there. He gets to the point one way or another, and there it is. Yaki eventually finds what he was looking for, Matt. A long journey, to be sure, but he gets that kill. BQB going to be able to coach down away from the pile driver and tries to predict the recall location of lead there. Doesn't quite work out. Elsa's been hard to topple so far in this round. Anyone who's tried counter-tipping should probably not be surprised by that. But BQB is still in position. The Bob is in an odd spot here.
What is this Bob?
It controls the flank. And it's supposed to, I guess, keep lead quiet.
And we have a Bob down here as well. That is not a Bob to control the flank. I mean, that is one that I don't expect that's where he intended the Bob to go. I mean, down there on the stairs.
This is now starting to look increasingly dire for the Florida Mayhem. That is, well, that's what happens when you throw a good Bob after bad, I suppose. BQB loses that ultimate. There's no key support ultimates online, and Farway sits back knowing he has a Transcendence available. Unlikely that we're going to really see this pressured out in a big way, so theoretically the Hunters can probably weather the storm in this next fight.
With the way that Farway is playing, it's so much out on like an island that if Yaki or OG gets back there, especially OG getting the minefield now, they could force this Transcendence down. They're really leaving Farway alone to play, and now this is where him playing out on that island worries you because Nisha can't go and get the they're not even able to get it to the point to save Elsa. So, like I was talking about, he's playing so far out, you know, almost in that choke. And Nisha's so far away, and he has to heal the rest of the team. That when far away it takes any type of damage, you know, Nisha's going back to him. They don't have any healing for anybody else. And that's how you end up losing Elsa on the point there.
So it's a prediction on how Farway was sort of forced apart with that Transcendence prematurely. We kind of thought that would be what would hold things together for the Hunters in that fight, but I think losing Leave so early set them on a bit of a wonky trajectory. It almost happened again. Leave has to recall and they lose aim on a lot of front-loaded damage here from the Mayhem. A lot of poke as well.
There was no way he was living through that. And he rolled in, got discorded, and everybody was there. He's going to get back in the fight, though. I mean, by the time we have a next one kick off.
Rabbinic avoiding Elsa, who will just go golden and avoid that. Oh, okay, almost enough damage there, I thought, to get rid of Jimmy, but not quite. Farway finds the headshot. That is nasty stuff from Leave. A brilliant little double pulse bomb kill now, and the Hunters are back in control.
Look at how effective it is, though. The Hunters are able to keep Farway alive. He's been able to find a first of blood in a few of these fights. Being able to give him that space to prevent Yaki from just going in, getting, you know, the 1-2 kills, taking out both supports in a lot of fights like we saw in Valskaya, it's a huge difference in the game.
I mean, Matt, if the Atlanta Reign were able to send Dogman up to play that aggressively, he would be hosting a talk show right now. That is exactly what you want to see for an aggressive Zenyatta. I mean, having your Orisa shield is kind of handy, I'll wager. There's BQB, down to the bomb. Transcendence used here maybe just to set up the res. I mean, what a position to use that in. And they go to Farway elsewhere. OG goes abroad and finds a crucial kill on the Zen.
They're going to be able to rest this stuff. So you're going to be back at full strength pretty much for Chengdu. As you're without your Wrecking Ball here for the Florida Mayhem. You're without your Engage. The Pulse Bomb will connect onto Eamon, but he just rolls right in the Yaki. He takes him out, the minefield there, so he can't have everybody push up to the high ground.
The Resurrect is not quite off cooldown yet. So, okay, it is just in time. So Yaki almost ended up in spawn, so it'll save a couple of seconds here, but the Mayhem don't have many of those to spare. They're under a minute left in the round now. Barb is on the scene once more. Okay, Pile Driver, again, another forced Transcendence from Farway, but they've already lost Elsa again. Farway being forced to play in a very suboptimal manner here. Elsa's back in the fight, but then they lose Amon. The Hunters can't keep 6 players up to save their lives. Literally. Here comes Gargoyle rolling straight through on the low ground, and that can't get awful close. And now the Hunters look like they're in disarray.
And the Florida Mayhem invest so much there to try and take that high ground. They end up throwing the bomb up on it. Jimmy able to get one supercharger in here for Elsa underneath, but I don't think it'll be enough, as he'll end up getting taken out. You still may need one more fight though here. If you're the Florida Mayhem, you have Eamon behind enemy lines. He's going to be able to get on the card and contest.
Okay, he's down. So Transcendent, I guess all the Discord there are playing pretty darn quickly, and the Mayhem get to play more of the map, but this might be... we had our fill of map 6s, but it's possible, we'll say that. OG gets a bit of accretion early on, still charges in, another BKB kill on Jimmy. The hits get DPS players in this map, also the Zens are just absolutely lethal. Okay, how do you have time to do that? You just drop the twinings, you've got a minute left in this round. I love that Yaki always makes time for the important things, you know what I mean? Love it.
Oh yeah, they put enough damage down, and that'll clear the res. The card's still not really moving that far. So,
when you can't play this way and have 3 on the card, it's just not possible.
No. Well, look at this for Florida. 6 ultimates coming into this. I mean, they're in a position to potentially finish maybe a sliver at time.
Quite the cash to be sitting on, but BQB can't stop. Okay, Gangnam Jin. That might just be to facilitate a resurrect here, but you can still interrupt. Slide the clock, Nisha! Woke up today in Tro's violence, and well, I mean, BQB didn't wake up at all. Guess that's the way it goes. OG's out, and now we're running out of time. It's 19 seconds in the round, and the Mayhem are starting to use the ultimates pretty poorly.
They had 6 coming into that fight. So OG will go over to Winston. Oh, big win there. Discord onto Yaki, and then Leave takes him out. So you may have a Bob here to contest, and then a Valkyrie.
Bob comes out. I think he was body blocked. I think A1 actually prevented Bob from getting out of the door. They wanted to send him with the cart. I don't think he was able to get that far. BQB goes down to Jimmy anyway. Is resurrected. Here's a pulse. Okay, Yaki just spots Leave recalling. Knows there's a window where he can actually really pressures. I mean, yeah, Leave, you thought he'd play a little bit more passive, in light of that fact, and he doesn't. Yaki's really going for a flank here.
Leave is doing much better though, taking these one-on-ones, not letting Yaki just get in for free.
Dramatic Flux, Amon not caught in that one. Gargoyle though did get caught. He's flung skyward. Oshi goes down here in the Hunters. Okay, this looks like it's going to be their map indeed. Lee takes it to another level, and the Hunters dig those heals in and stay alive. This series is going to at least go to 4, and by God, we deserve more. Fantastic stuff from Chengdu. They stay in it.
And they're able to sub in him, and he makes a difference playing the ball.
He saved the series.
He really
That's an
did.
understatement.
I mean, with the back cap, I mean, is just insane. But I think Leave, though, being able to take these Tracer one-on-ones, really making Yaki feel like he's threatened, really was a huge difference maker. Here's something that
We have been treated to a number of 5-map series over the course of this week already.
Yeah.
This one is no exception. It's 2-all now after Junkertown, which we saw an incredibly solid hold from Boston on defense there. But London, definitely their attack left a little bit to be desired, trying to mess around with some Sombra and some other picks.
Yeah, you can see what London was trying to do with that Sombra, right? Trying to get behind enemy lines, maybe like hack Gamsu or Neko playing Roadhog, and then push on through from there. They weren't able to really make it
Why
work.
does that not work?
I mean, well, you have to look. I mean, you go in there as Sombra, right? You get the hack off, you get weak. You translocate so far away. I think you don't have anybody else who's really like a dive or flanker hero that can go and finish that off. I mean, what are you trying to do? Have Blu-ray kind of finish it off from range there? It's Widowmaker, so you just don't really have the parts to really
It's like
get
there are two lines in it. They're not necessarily trying to dive on hacked targets. We saw that Bedosa would flank around Hack a Widowmaker, but everyone else is playing an Orisa comp on the payload.
I guess, for argument's sake, Bedosian comes through with a hack. That forces the enemy Mercy to just kind of pocket that player through the hack, right? Because you don't want them to die at the hands of a Sombra. And then that denies some healing from everybody else, and maybe you're able to kind of work something out from there. But that was not pretty from London there in game number 4. I know we do see some weird results on Junkertown as a map overall. But, man, Boston, they have not gone away in this series. They have figured something out to make it work since halftime. I'm excited to see this final map.
So I'm very interested in this map, especially because we're going to jump headfirst into University, right? The reason why I find it so critical is this is where we see London generally play more of that heavy attack composition, right? In the past, they've played the Roadhog, Diva, Reinhardt composition. This is also where they have problems. Not a great stage or map in general for them, and they've actually lost multiple series. Because obviously over the course of the Overwatch, they have had this be a tiebreaker map in more than one stage. And they have often sort of faltered here.
We don't really talk about it, obviously, because there was no subs on the side for Boston, but London will keep the roster in. I thought, Hagapun, Closer, and Fury had a very good day in the first half of this series. I thought that was probably the best you saw Hagapun play in the Overwatch League this far, like in a standout Zenyatta performance. They like not to put any of those players back in, but Ocean looked like he could play Moira here at the beginning. I know Moira and Sombra are paired together quite often.
Definitely a composition that begs the opponent to try and step up and play close. Boston Uprising looks like they want to work that full dive composition, so the mistakes Genji, which has been hot and cold over the course of this series, definitely needs to be,
it's been good. I mean, he's been getting blades at a good rate. He's been finishing off some players. It's not just that explosive Genji play. It's pretty safe, conservative. But when you play with Striker and Gamsu, do you really need to be explosive players, right? I mean, you have those two you're relying a lot on. Jester and Prophet go down early here.
I'm so fascinated by this. It's so rare that we actually see teams just straight up play the full dive on both sides composition on this map. Yes, there's a Sombra here. Bedosian's on the Moira, but again, they're trying to jump and get in each other's faces, where in the past we see London just go for a tank setup.
It's a good point, Mitch. A lot of teams on this point, you'll play like Turbo Tank with Junkrat, or you see Reinhardt come out a lot on this map. Both teams just want to brawl this out. London pushes back Boston as they are accruing some percentage on the point. It doesn't look like Boston is too worried about the point just yet.
Gumsy's down, brought back to life. Again, Kellex Very clutch on those heals. They're much harder to produce nowadays, but he's been doing it with relative frequency. Transcendence there for Neko. Obviously, Dempsey knows he can't survive. He put Transcendence in play, and that's the Dragon Blade from Mistakes will only claim nuts for the time being. Ureg uses a hack, not the EMP, so he holds that in reserve for the next fight. And it's a good sign for the Spitfire, who start off 38% behind.
Probably could have held on to that Dragon Blade there if your Mistakes, I believe. Neko just comes out of Transcendence, you lose Kellic, so it's just, well, he switches, so that's probably why they decided to use it. So he did use it there towards the end, maybe gets a miraculous raid and Gamsu's able to come back with Primal Range, but you're going to make the switch,
Always been
use it.
Yeah, body blocked up there, and Neko had a few scared moments to try and deal with him, but it's not enough. Prophet comes in with a pulse bomb, and both the Zenyatta and McCree have been removed. And that's a wash. Immediately the fight is over.
It's a good use of the EMP from Hureg. See, he gets stuck there for a little bit, just trying to walk by Node. He sees most support players there. He wants to make sure he gets them.
And Prophet can just glide over from the other side of the battlefield knowing that this has happened. And that's the thing about Sombra, you gotta remember, if you clip on an enemy hero, you'll be revealed, right? Obviously, you might be invisible, but they can still obviously you get very feel your presence. So here's another dive. They're trying to find a lovely way to isolate the supports here. Very clever move by the London Spitfire, but now they gotta follow it up. They do finally deal with Kellex. Love the dive. It works out very well. It's kind of fun. It's novel to see this on this map with teams that just sort of defaulted to playing Reinhardt.
And you can make this work because of Benotion playing Moira. So Moira and Lucio as a combination. You're going to be using the Lucio primarily for the speed, not as much of the healing. Right now you have Benotion doing 71% of the healing for the London Spitfire. So they're relying on him to put down a ton of the healing in the close corner areas on the side of the map. On this point, you can do a lot of AoE healing, numerous players with Moira.
It's up to Boston. How do you break this? Diva makes sent towards the side room, but didn't make it inside. Trades out now as Bedoson's removed by a pulse from Striker, so the Fade clearly not available to him. Bedoson's been using Fade aggressively to follow up his team's dive. That's why he doesn't have it sometimes to have self-kill or evasion. And it looks like the Boston Uprising able to break into the fight now. Just a couple of trades early. Gives them the win.
But 98% for the London Spitfire. You have big ultimates like an EMP coming online. You get fully all staggered though, so that'll allow them to get a little bit more percentage. No support ultimates versus EMP. They have to do a good job of hiding, but on this map, there's not a lot of great spots, right, Mitch? Really close quarter where you imagine Hureg's going to be able to find them.
And again, you'll notice C-Note in that side room. He's just spamming those doorways to try and reveal Hureg if he runs through invisible. Hureg still sneaks through the net, so he'll drop in completely invisible. EMP comes out here. It's going to be Striker and Gamsu hacked up by that one. Mistakes is going to deadeye. Note also was hacked, but it doesn't matter. Mistakes get the 2K. Two very important, very slippery targets dispatched by that pinpoint accuracy of the deadeye. And that's huge for Boston. So big. It's going to put them now with a chance to win the map.
Yeah, now you're going to have Pulse Bomb, Self-Destruct, and Primal Range for the next fight. You are the Boston Uprising. And you're not really too worried about Sound Barrier. Nuss has been getting it every 2 minutes. It's a long time to charge that, but I mentioned he's only using speed primarily on Lucio. So, see if Striker maybe hits a big Pulse Bomb before this even begins.
Went up in the fight. This would be the way to give yourself the round, but now the Sound Barrier probably give you pause for thought. Who is Striker looking for? Either Moira? Is he chasing Fidosin? Yes, Fidosin doesn't have one. There's the fade, so he's now used it. Now he's vulnerable. He gets stuck. Great response, but look at this. The whole time Striker was looking for a target. The rest of his team just gets dumpstered. Prophet and Hureg go huge in this fight. The switch has worked out, and the London Spitfire take it all away. First round, orange and blue, and what a great response from a team who's looked very unsettled on this map in the past. It's a new look, a fresh start, different perspective on this map, and it's worked for them so far.
Yeah, we got a replay here of Prophet towards the end. As you mentioned, him and Hureg start to go off. He's able to get Neko. You see how far back they force these supports. Mistakes can't really help either of them on McCree. So many players in his face at that point. Nothing he can do.
You see, the front line, they just wedged themselves in between the back line of Boston Uprising and their tanks. And Gamsu wasn't in a position to peel back because it was overtime. He had to stay on the point. London Spitfire now come out with that one round advantage, and this may be the series for them right here. Mistakes over to the Sombra.
Both teams will play Sombra. London will continue to run Moira here, so not going to have the benefits of a Discord or Resurrection. But if they're going to play fast and you're going to dive in, oh, that's a huge kill there from Gamsu. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the healing here comes out of the Moira in this comp. Uyol, though, takes out both supports here for Boston.
He's everywhere right now. Couple big picks and Hurek can follow up now, desuiting Node and taking the mini diva down. What an intense fight, but this is what London does on this map. They don't play the point to begin with. Oh, it's close. The body blast from Uyol is just going ham. He knows he has to head back over the edge now and let Bedosian just try and do his work. Look at that though, the biotic grasp. Striker can't avoid that.
And it's odd with this composition that Boston comes out with these supports, right? Because they're running a mirror composition. You want to be aggressive, you want to push on forward. I know Zenyatta and Mercy, not the two best supports at doing that. I think you do, obviously, want to have that resurrection. I think you're playing it for those big two support ultimates for the Transcendence and Valkyrie. But to really help those divers get into the backline, you're really running, more of them, right? With Tracer, Sombra, Winston, and Diva. It's going to be very difficult.
And watch Bedosian as well. Once he uses his fade, the entirety of Boston are likely going to beeline for him because he has literally zero mobility from that point.
And they know that if they do get Bedosian, Nuss does not have enough healing to keep everybody else alive on the London Spitfire.
And wiped out again. I'm going to say Uyol's had an incredible start to the round. In general, we saw that passage of play earlier on. Great sequence from him. Striker, he wasn't going to take no for an answer of Bedosian. Trying to get the spray down. It's not repellent. Striker will have his prize. This puts Boston now in pole position for the next fight with both support ultimates available. That being said, London will have them as well.
It's quite interesting when you look at the numbers from this one. London's getting good healing out of their Lucio, right? Even more healing than you have Neko doing as Zenyatta. I think it's just these two support ultimates you really value high for the Boston Uprising. That's why you're running the Mercy in the Zen. Let's see if they can put in the good use, right? I mean, the EMP kind of takes all of that away. You could have a lot of abilities taken away. Two EMPs could potentially go down here. There's the first one. It'll be Sound Barrier used by Nuss. And it'll be Hurek using his EMP as well, but Neko doesn't get caught in it. He'll use Transcendence.
No, the only person getting hacked by the EMP was Note, whereas Gesture and Prophet were the ones affected by Mistakes' EMP. Just slightly better from Mistakes on that Sombra ultimate, and look at the way it pays off. Dominant fight. Telex was free to resurrect Neko. He wasn't hacked. He was entirely safe. He could just fly around the map and stay alive. Bedosian and Hurek down. We are also missing an out. Last chance to loot for the Spitfire. And they just have to throw themselves at the point. Gesture and Prophet are waiting in the wings. You can see Prophet does get onto the point, albeit taking a bit of damage and forced to recall immediately. Gesture down, bubble up, and they just walk on inside, and he's no more. Hurek, Nuss, and Bedosian are on the way. They use the Lucio now to speed them over to the point. And one by one, the Spitfire have to try and stretch this out. They need to get a couple of picks in the meantime. It's a huge ask for them to stay in this round, man.
Somehow they're able to keep Prophet alive. Things get a hack onto the Tracer, but No dives in, not able to finish it off, but that's going to start to spiral everything out of control. A few players get weak in the back there. You see Striker will take out Bedosian. 2 kills come in favor of London, though. They're going to get both supports.
That's big. That could be a turnaround. Nuss is going big. He's got 2 kills. Mistakes is down. Hurek finds the pick on Gamsu. It's now a 2v2 over on the point. Node is hacked up on the Diva, so can't do much, and Hurek's trying to dodge him. He translocates his way out. Still in overtime. Still in control of Boston. And Hurek and Uyama were a couple of feet up after the point. That was a very close fight. And Nuss, 2 kills on the Lucio, almost turned it.
Boston is pretty fortunate to escape that one. Prophet and then Nuss are able to get into the back line even after being no doubt gesture. They get both supports and somehow they get back to the point. A little bit more left in that overtime. Wick went down pretty quick there. And you would have had more players coming right back down for London.
I wonder sometimes if people realise just how hard it is to stall like that.
Yeah.
So not only are you ostensibly in a 2v6 in that situation as London, but you also have to stay alive as long as you can. But you also have to get kills while you're trying to stay alive, and also doing ridiculous things just to avoid being killed. Somehow London managed to build up their numbers enough, and I don't know, Nuss and Prophet loves to see it. Wasn't enough to bring it back, so we're going all the way now to City Centre. This series ends here.
And this is a point where I think it'll be a little bit easier for, potentially Nuss, Neko, or Helix to hide a little bit. The first fight here will go heavy in favor of London as they speed up, they get pole position. But I think as this round goes on, if Boston can get control, there's a lot of different areas on the map where you can break line of sight away from those EMPs, right? You get a lot of good use out of those big support ultimates. Helix will switch over to Lucio, so now you value the speed to close the gap here over potentially a resurrection of Valkyrie.
So the entirety of London can actually sit up here, and they can just keep sort of rotating around, break line of sight, force Boston to try and dive them. You can see that Ruya's waiting by the door, so he's waiting for the main tank, and of course the flex tank for Boston to jump in, and now London have actually seen a better opportunity. They're going forward now, punishing poor positioning from Neko, and we are now just going to crack him in a note. Again, Diva's essentially a walking trash can when she's hacked. In fact, not even a trash can, because she can't even eat things with that defense matrix, so she doesn't do much at all, really. Gamsu's down, Jester really making ends meet the way the Spitfire would like it. Now with mistakes running away, note thrown into oncoming traffic. That'll be 41%.
Striker is still here. He's able to eliminate Hureg. May have a small window of opportunity before Hureg gets back in where you can EMP. Striker does touch the point. Reinforcements coming in here for Boston.
You see the Spitfire get ground. They would like, ideally, the Uprising to try and dive in. This also makes it a little bit harder for Boston to probably sneak. Mistakes in. Big EMP though. That's 4 targets that are hacked up. Beautiful 5 in fact. Striker gets rid of Ruya, but there's no way you're winning that fight. The EMP was just way too good. Mistakes didn't have a chance to use his.
Mistakes gets hit with that EMP, so he's not able to even counter EMP for 10 maybe. The London from running on in. So, we're getting into one fight territory here, Mitch. So Kelix and Neko now switch over to Moira. May not even get anything now. That can't happen. You lose mistakes here. You're probably going to lose. Kelix is really low. There'll be Sound Barrier that comes in from London. They're trying to put it away here. They're going to get aggressive. They're going to push them back.
This is perfect now as long as they don't overextend. London have a 12% win rate on this map so far. So this would be a huge turnaround against a quality team like this Uprising squad. Gesture is hacked, but he gets up in the sky and overtime is now ticking down. Striker's on the point. He's keeping this going, but the rest of the Spitfire are kind of ignoring it for the time being. But Gamsu breaks onto Bidoshin, lands on him there, and Striker now moves into the point with some more confidence. Primal Rage for Gamsu. Neko removes Wuya. Bionic Grasping used to good effect. Neko down though. Prophet deals with him, but there's not enough players, and all of the Spitfire is spread to the 4 corners of the city center. They have to regroup, and Boston stay alive.
And that is Striker that gives Boston a chance. So he goes all the way around on the right-hand side. Has the presence of mind to realize that London is pushing through. They're going for the kill there. They're using the Sound Barrier. They're going to try and push them all the way back to the spawn. He touches the point, pushes it into overtime. London is still stuck like over by the Boston spawn, trying to get those kills. Mistakes uses the EMP, they can't go anywhere. They're able to pick up the kills off of that.
Big stick there, Gesture really suffers for that one. Hureg takes a licking from that AoE damage, but that's it. Spitfire got to get out now. There's no point feeding extra ultimate percentage to Boston, who are already just getting that engine running.
Right now, Striker is 33, 11, 16 final blows, only 4 deaths. Playing out of his mind in that Tracer role. I think you see in those T-Mobile MVP, I think he's definitely got to be up in there as well. I mean, he's been huge. You see Kelix playing so far away, doesn't want to get hit with the EMP here. Now he's going to come in.
All right, Neko now coming with a coalition. Will this be enough to help the Uprising weather the storm? The Spitfire aren't taking no for an answer this time, and Note is out of the picture. A lot of the coalitions was committed to trying to keep Gamsu alive, but it's worked out because now Gesture's down. It's a Winston advantage to the Boston Uprising. But Ocean trapped into next Tuesday, and the Uprising are hanging on here. Prophet can't get away. Has to blink out when it came off cooldown. Trying to kick Gamsu up, but Hureg's come on in. What a big Sombra play he's had so far in this round. But Striker spots him in the distance. He saw where he translocated to, but he can't follow him. He's got to stay on the point. They can't afford to give it to the London Spitfire. It's 4v4 on the point right now. But Mistakes is rejoining, so is Bidoshin. It's going to be 6 on 6 in just a second as Gamsu is trying to rejoin. But losing no Diva, no real tank presence right now for the Boston Uprising. This is not good. They have to get back into the fight, and it's a 4-man hack. Beautiful from Hureg now, and Prophet's going to clean them up. Using Kelix trying to stay alive here, but he's going to get bumped around himself. Note has a self-destruct, and Gamsu died before he could use his Primal Rage, and the London Spitfire looking much happier now. Now, the overtime, it's Striker on the point. Note and Mistakes are waiting for their chance to get in.
It is still Boston who controls the point here. Note will use the self-destruct just because he's taking so much damage coming on in. London has still not flipped the point here, Mitch. It's going to be a coalescence used by the Boston Uprising. Prophet just throws his pulse bomb into the wall there.
That could have been a big mistake, a costly one. The EMP comes in, and now it's London on the back foot. Somehow the Boston Uprising have turned this around. Bit by bit, they stalled out. They've done it. Unbelievable. How do you turn that kind of round around? What is this match? The Boston Uprising snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Even they can't believe it, Matt.
And Hureg made such a sick such a tough loss there for London. A reverse sweep in favor of the Boston Uprising. There's no explanation for it.
This has been a case study in clutch stalling. The technique that you need to sort of apply not to lose them out when you're so far behind. Look at Striker, he can't believe it. The emotion and pressure that he went through. He had an incredible game.
He goes 39 limbs, 19 final blows, only 4 deaths. He plays unbelievable.
And you can just see how much it means to him. He couldn't believe it when he got up. You saw the look of shock on Note's face. 4 deaths for Striker over the course of that map.
It's mistakes just staying alive as Sombra for a while, and then Striker coming in as Tracer that was able to stall the point out that gave them a chance there in the end. I believe we got Zoe on the floor with an interview. Let's go to her.
We do indeed. Thank you so much. Please give it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a bit of a situation. It is map point in the grand finals of the Asia May Melee. It is 7 o'clock in the morning. I haven't slept in a while, but I don't need sleep. Sleep is for the weak. Sleep is for those who do not want to watch quality Overwatch, like you, like me, like Josh over here, who's actually did take a nap. So did I lied. We have had a bit of sleep.
We have had a bit of sleep.
This game is shaping up to be absolutely tremendous, and it's going to be finished. It's going to be finished on Junkertown of all maps here. Junkertown. After seeing what Fleta did on the Widowmaker towards the tail end of that fight, now, I don't think it'll be Fleta playing the Widowmaker, necessarily, but it's just absurd how this team, okay, I mean, how many times have we got to put it into context before we really hammer home how important it is that we make you all realize how ridiculous it will be if Shanghai complete this reverse sweep? Like, I'm sorry if I'm being annoying. It's going to be absurd if it happens.
Really is. A reverse sweep in a first to 4, they just don't happen. They just don't.
They just
happen.
don't.
But, and for it to happen in the finals here is a bonkers situation. It truly is. We don't get many first to 4s in the first place, and the majority of them are fairly one-sided. You know, think back to the grand finals that we've had in the Overwatch League, for another Barclays Center. A lot of those games are fairly one-sided. The team that you expect to come in and demolish tends to do so. For the Seoul Dynasty to put up such an amazing beginning, and then Seoul to find their fortitude, their inner mental steel, and sub in Fearless, that is a truly special occasion. And we finish it all here on Junkertown, the map where anything can happen, Brent. Absolutely anything.
It's produced some of the most egregious and erroneous results of all time.
Yep, and it will continue to produce mental results no matter which way this map goes.
Yeah, and we've seen some cool plays, and I think it's almost fitting that this series, which has been so lopsided, ends up almost being, I mean, I say almost, listen, there is a world in which there could be a draw. It's definitely, I don't want to say with definition that it's going to happen, but
A less than 1% chance, as Jake would say.
I would give this I would give a draw like it's like one universe out of 2 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost never going to happen, but we are most likely going to see this series concluded here today. Shanghai Dragons, one step away from one of the most absurd turnarounds in esports history. Seoul Dynasty, one map away from closing it down, from shutting down the hopes and dreams of Shanghai, from performing, let's say it reasonably here, the upset, because that's what we all thought coming into this series.
And look at this from Shanghai. They start on Junkertown with the defensive dive composition. This is not normal. People normally run double shields, they normally run Echo and a Widowmaker. They do not run dive. This map is far too open to play dive, or so the conventional wisdom goes. Shanghai are looking to prove everybody wrong.
Fit is also going to be trying to play the Tracer. He's going back over to his comfort role here. See if he can set up any plays. He's hunting for Fleta. Fleta, of course, keeping his cool down. He zips away, but Lip almost dead. Lip have to back off the heels right in this corner. Now, Shanghai have got to try and contest this at least. Can't move a little bit further forward here. They've got to find an opening as well, but this turret is causing Fleta a bit of issues. He can't take these off angles like he wants to. Turret peppering him away from the back line. Now we see the focusing B being used. Fit's going to get burned down, broken. Now they've just got to clean up the last remaining players here. Big Bayonade onto a couple of the members here of Seoul. And but that focusing beam is so potent.
It really is. It shreds the tanks for the Seoul Dynasty, and Fitz as well, who's not normally a very diveable target, but when he's under 50% of his HP, he will melt if he goes to Fleta. Normally, you would have Seoul Dynasty put some kind of long-range hit scan, the Ash, the Widowmaker, to be able to put pressure on these dive tanks for them to overextend. But instead, they're playing short range with Prophet and Fitz. So Fearless can just play close. They can play close range with everybody. They can play close range dive. This is mental.
Yeah, dive attempt is there, and I say attempt, it's a success in my books. They get the opening pickoffs. Fleta demolishing the sticky bombs, the focusing beam. It's so much damage in those close quarters. What can you realistically expect? And they want to go for Prophet as well, trying to burn him down. Gonna get their wee little legs out of there as they run way back.
They need to run Fitz on an Ash or something like that, because if they don't play with somebody far back, then Fearless is never going to have to overextend. He can just play the payload. You cannot allow the dive of Shanghai Dragons to just play the payload. It's far too comfortable for them.
Fleta's weak, he has to use the duplicate here, so he moves over to the Orisa for the higher HP, but he's just peppering them from behind. No one is checking him! He lands down a supercharger. This is disastrous now for Seoul, despite the fact that they get the opening pickoff. Immortality being forced out, and the supercharger forces out a couple of the cooldowns as well. Now Fearless with the Primal Rage. They're going to try and find an opening here, but Seoul are now utilizing every ultimate at their disposal to win this one. Finally, they get a pick off onto Fearless, and they get a second D-Mech as well. It looks like Seoul are going to be justified in their expenditure. They are able to walk away with at least this 8-point capture for the time being.
Yeah, we've seen teams do the impossible throughout this series, throughout this tournament so far. But when Marvel gets the opening pick with his Gravitic Flux onto Izzyaki, and the Ana, the main heals, removed from the Shanghai Dragons, that ends up being insurmountable there. Lip getting very close to his EMP though. They would love to EMP the Seoul Dynasty, dive them, and reset them at the choke point here. The choke point is so powerful to be able to hold.
Keeping some very nice shots there onto the flank, just keeping Prophet in check, making sure he can't get away with murder. Shanghai have ults to work with. Look at that, EMP is ready, but Lip not in a position to really take advantage of it, and this is good aggression coming out from Seoul now. Lip used the EMP. 3 targets were the ones who are going to be disabled now and able to use their abilities, but Fearless bashed up, has to leap away to safety. Prophet still causing havoc in the back line as he takes out Lee Jae-gong. And I gotta say, you know, we often think about Brigitte being a bit of a soft counter, a bit of a shutdown for Tracer, but Prophet seems to not care about what heroes are on the field. He just kind of plays his own game and makes it look stylish at the same time.
He definitely does. Look at Lip, going to contest the payload, bounce away, setting up for Fearless and Void to ping-pong onto this payload and allow an opportunity for Shanghai to recontest, but Fleta going down, and that encore all over the place. There's just no way, surely, that Shanghai can get into this.
Yeah, Prophet as well. I mean, he's just flexing them at this point. The team fight's already won, but why not just unload the pulse bomb, take out Izzyaki, you know, add a couple of more clips of the frag reel, who knows? It is looking like Seoul Dynasty are really gaining a lot of momentum, and Shanghai are struggling to stop them here. But we talked a lot about Shanghai Dragons and how much credit we've given them for trying to make this reverse sweep happen. I gotta give credit a little bit now to Seoul Dynasty for not crumbling at this prospect. A lot of teams, after losing this many maps in a row when they've been so close to the win, would have just crumbled at this point, and it feels like the Seoul Dynasty are battling back. They are giving us a series worthy of calling a grand finals.
Absolutely. Looking to engage now Marvel with Gravitic Flux into the back. Gesture still with his tank ultimate as well, but the Shanghai Dragons have pushed the nano-boosted Fearless with a Primal Rage into a tiny little damage. And the damage is insurmountable. Shanghai Dragons come away with a very easy win. You want to run a brawl comp? No, we're running a brawl comp. Gonna punch you in the mouth repeatedly with Fearless's Primal.
I mean, that sounds quite painful, honestly. I mean, what do you think
I mean, it's a gorilla, isn't it? Of course it's going to be painful. They could rip you limb from limb, Brennan.
People keep making that argument, right? How many gorillas would it take for Shaquille O'Neal to go down? But, I mean, gorillas are kind of brutal, man. I feel like one gorilla could take on 4 Shaqs, you know what I mean? Easily. Regardless, not a conversation for the final map of the grand finals, but we're having it anyway. Seoul Dynasty get the opening pick now in this team fight onto Lip, taking him out. That's no more EMP for this fight. Cretion not going to be finding a mark, but Seoul have been given a lot of space off the back of that pickoff. All eyes on Lip to try and get some value out of this EMP. It's their win condition. He needs to get something done here. The EMP is used, connects onto a couple of targets. Marvel gets instantly deleted. Taken off the map, taken out of the fight. Great opening start for the Shanghai Dragons. That turret is, again, a bit of a nuisance here, and that has caused a bit of damage, a little bit too much now. The Fleta will fall. Wonderful pickoffs for the Seoul Dynasty. They found so many openings. Void might be able to turn this one with the bomb. He's going to stall this one out as well. He's going to get demech by the pulse bomb. The card is only a few short moments away. Can Shanghai even touch this one? Can they even contest? Someone is on the card. The Gravitic Flux is going to be missing Fleta, but Fleta goes down regardless of that. And Prophet with the 2K on the Tracer. Find these pickoffs nicely. Seoul in a very solid position to try and work this one in, but now Lee Jae-gong has built up the rally, so I don't want to call it curtains just yet. Fearless overextending just to a degree is that he will not be able to win this fight out. And it looks like Seoul Dynasty have decided to just actually recontest, and now they're going to regroup and re-push this one. Molten Core going to be laying down the foundations. No one can really touch this card. Lee Jae-gong falling. The burning, the DPS, the damage, a little bit too much, and Seoul Dynasty are going to get that capture with 26 seconds remaining.
Very good offense, honestly, from the Seoul Dynasty, and Prophet was never checked at any point throughout that map. The dive looked alright from Shanghai as we started out, but they just never won a team fight throughout throughout point B, and then really in point C as well. Shanghai's defense, not that great. And if you cast your mind back, earlier on in the day, we saw the Seoul Dynasty play on Junkertown. They lost to the Guangzhou Charge. What did the Charge do so well? They played Mate Reaper on the defense. They played aggressively. They held them at point B. So the fact now that the Seoul Dynasty have just been able to have their way on the offense, I think this is a perfect position for the Tiger Nation. The Seoul Dynasty are going to be feeling really good about their attack time there. Just completing Junkertown itself is a success. They look like they're rolling out with a Widowmaker defense. A little bit more meta here for Seoul Dynasty.
Not just the Widowmaker though, Josh. They've also got Prophet once again on the Tracer. Yeah. Tracer's not a hero that we see often. It's not a character that we see often on Junkertown. I think this first point is actually a little bit too wide to try and get value out of a Tracer. You know, despite the fact that she can clear immense distances with her blinks, sometimes it's just not quite enough given how big this map is. Now, still, with that being said, Prophet does make Tracer look like a meta pick.
He definitely does. He's so individually skilled on it. He was one of the major reasons that Seoul went up 3-0 in this series to begin with as well. A huge player of the match candidate if Seoul Dynasty are actually able to win this final map. But Fitz versus Lip, Widowmaker duel, both of these guys have proven themselves to be really excellent Widowmakers in previous matches. And now we get to see the head-to-head. They're not as well known perhaps as some of the other players on their teams. Everyone knows the Fleta Widowmaker, everyone knows DM. But Fitz and Lip are the players who have the trust of their teams, the trust of their coaches to pick up this hero when it comes to Junkertown, the classic Widowmaker map.
And look at how patient both of these Widowmaker players are.
Hello.
Well, see you later there. Alright, Fleta gets sent forward. He had to actually instantly exit out of his ice block because he was worried he was going to get caught out of position. He disjointed the momentum from Holt there, if you're wondering how he got sent so far forward. But now it's the battle of the Widowmakers, and what we've seen of Junkertown is actually a lot of these Widowmakers avoid the fight up front. They want to try and set up their teams for success by playing odd angles, funny positionings, and Prophet going down to Fleta. It's a good start for the attacking Shanghai Dragons, but look at Fitz again, this is what I'm talking about! The off-angled! Fitz, are you kidding me? The 3K, Izayaki, he had to shut him down, and Josh, I just screamed so much that the blood has rushed from my head and I almost fainted.
That's ridiculous. We normally see the defensive Widowmaker not take any angles, take zero risks, and instead Fitz rips up the playbook. He goes for a flank and he hits every shot, man. How is he able to do this? That should not work. You should be able to get 1 out of 3 of those kills.
I can't believe what we just witnessed. That was Shanghai Dragons. Oh, Fitz, are you... Okay, all right, calm it down. Calm it down.
That's
Fitz.
unbelievable. Oh, he's killed
Fitz is
another one.
unstoppable.
This is outrageous.
Look at him, he's on the flank. Dude, he's feeling himself. This is what Widowmakers do. There's a feeling when you get into the zone. Basketball players describe it. Sports players describe it. It happens in video games as well. I think this is what we're witnessing right now is Fitz. He's in the flow state. The only thing on his mind is hitting heads. And it's working for him. This is just one of the most absurd performances I've seen. One of the most absurd series I've seen. And when Fitz is playing like this, Lip, I just feel sorry for him because it's like trying to shut down a monster.
Yeah, it's an absolute monstrous performance from Fitz, and he's managed to win these fights single-handedly. So Seoul have never used an ult. There's only 1 minute and 20 seconds left.
Ridiculous. Seoul are so close now. Ever so close to shutting down this reverse sweep. Fitz shooting these targets like they're nothing. Shanghai,
so easy.
It's so hard for them right now. A minute on the clock. It's all Shanghai have got to work with. A blizzard, a gravitic flux, a transcendence, maybe the wall hacks, but look on the other side of Seoul. They're almost matching them ultimate for ultimate, but finally, an opening pickoff. Lip gets the better end of Fitz, and that is going to mean Timphosite time. Hunting for an opportunity to hit a head or two. You can see the ultimate starting to come out now as Fleta uses the blizzard. It's going to force the transcendence out of gravitic flux. Great timing from that one, Shanghai Dragons. It's an overwhelming team fight win. They use their ultimates in a great order, and Fitz is the last one left, but realistically there's not much he's going to be able to do here.
What a hero play from Lip. He only needs to find one kill. And yeah, for all of the fancy work that Fitz did in those opening 4 minutes, it only takes one mistake, and Lip finds him, hits the head, and opens up his team for a point A capture. The Shanghai Dragons, they must have been sweating there, but rookie player Lip comes up with the goods when it matters. Don't ever sub him out again.
Fantastic. We've really got to highlight again, Lip is a rookie player, a candidate for Rookie of the Year. Fitz has noticed that his Venom Mine was triggered there by Lip. Still there, still present. Falling very, very low. Okay, just got out 1 HP. Okay. But now an opportunity for Fleta to flex what he can do on the Tracer. We've seen what Prophet's been doing this entire series long. Fleta's time to go in, goes for the one clip, but recalls back. Now the pulse point from Prophet, he connects it onto Fearless. Fearless will fall, no more main tank. Dangerous scenario for Shanghai to keep pushing this one in, but they do have 2 minutes, so they can regroup and rethink how they want to try and take this one. Fitz though. Okay, alright.
How does that happen? I mean, who knows, but it seemed like he was caught by the Venom Mine and trying to duel him. Lip is really not gaining much ult charge. He might have 1 EMP by the time this time ticks away. And Fleta hasn't done a great job of being able to check Prophet either, trying to skulk around the corners instead to set up some kind of dive, but it hasn't really been going so well so far for the Shanghai Dragons since they swapped over. Looking to take out Fitz very early on. This will be huge, and Lip again finds the kill. Opening pick on the Widowmaker.
It's a beautiful opening pick because now no one has to worry about these sidelines. They can play full-on aggression, and it was a wonderful coordinated play by Shanghai. They capitalized off of it straight away. Lip was able to force out the positioning from Fitz. He takes him out almost instantly. And Fearless says, okay, that's my time to dive. And they dive onto the front line, remove them almost immediately. And that's going to cause Seoul to make some changes. They have an opportunity to recontest this now. Shanghai with 50 seconds remaining, they want to close out this point.
Yeah, the changes, as you said, Fitz moving over to the Torbjorn, so much more bulky. But Shanghai Dragons, they're getting close to their ults, and a great first pick on Prophet. Yes, the Bedosian Transcendence is there, but Gesture got purpled in the middle of it all. A fantastic Bionic Grenade coming out from Izayaki, but this is still turnable for the Seoul Dynasty.
Still turnable, and that's going to force out Primal Rage from Fearless. He's got to come up big with this, he's got to come up clutch. He's battering them away, 2 kills for him, forcing the positioning. Can he find a third? It's absolute magic. Shanghai Dragons are going to be able to cap up this checkpoint B. 1 minute 40 seconds. Fleta is coming alive right now, and we are looking at this Tracer 1v1 occurring as well. It's not just a battle of the Widowmakers on Junkertown, it's a battle of the Tracers as well. Could not think of a better stage to see the finale being played out.
Let's take a look at this replay as well. Just Fearless with his Primal Rage was able to turn this fight so well. It was an immortality field in the middle of this, but he just gets into the back. Great technique. This is the guy that came in and has led this reverse sweep charge for the Shanghai Dragons, and he's deep in the middle of the next fight as well, taking out profit for an opening pick.
Oh my goodness, Fleta, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The post bomb takes out not only Gesture but also the supercharger. Maximum value. And now, a minute remaining, they're moving forward. Shanghai Dragons are trying to set a similar time to Seoul Dynasty. I cannot believe how much this series is going to the distance right now.
Rally.
You're getting into potentially final fight territory for the Shanghai Dragons. They're going to try and make this work now.
Rally in EMP, this is super winnable for Shanghai.
Force bomb gets 8 up now as well. The EMP comes out to self-destruct as well, laid down. It's going to remove a lot of the turrets, a little bit of the extra factors, the variables in this fight. Now the Molten Core laid down. No one can really touch the point here. Fearless will fall. Void now has to force positioning back. Only 20 seconds remaining. This is a team fight loss, and I think they realize it, but Shanghai didn't even have the opportunity to recontest this, Josh. Could we see the series end here?
No, there's absolutely no way, Brennan. Lip is in a position where he's going to be able to touch the payload. Fleta as well if he really needed to. They've got a nano boost and they have this primal rage. They've got to dodge the flux from Marvel, but it is still technically winnable for Shanghai.
He moves in. He's going to trigger the overtime, and now Fearless moves in with the nano boost. Primal rage use. He has to go sicko mode. He has to go clutch. And Shanghai Dragons, they might just be doing it. Fearless is doing it. He's creating the space for his team. Lip and Fleta are turning up when it matters most. They get the opening picks, and what a turnaround. Coordination out the wazoo. The Shanghai Dragons are going to get the overtime push, and that means that they are having a blast. They have a lifeline. They have the ability to still compete in the grand finals here today.
Shanghai Dragons are so clutch to be able to come back into that with and immediately find kills. I think that was Fleta and Lip just beasted their opposition. Profit and Fit seemed to fall so fast. And the Shanghai Dragons took that one with ease. That should have been an incredibly tense situation. I had chills down my spine. And Shanghai, cool as ice. They come in, they get the picks, they get the job done. They put another minute on the clock for them. Like you said, lifeline, hope. It's 3-3. Final map. 1 minute for the Shanghai Dragons, 1 minute 26 for Seoul. Honestly, those 26 seconds, they mean diddly squat. They don't mean a thing. It comes down to how effective you can be with the first fight, the momentum you can gain, and how you can push it forwards. And Seoul are going for a forward hold. They're going to try and spawn camp with the May Reaper. I think this is good. It's either going to be amazing or it's going to fall flat on its face. It's only one or the other. It's a bold move.
If I'm remembering correctly, it was the Guangzhou Charge who did this to Seoul earlier today. It worked out well. We'll see now though. You can see Seoul just waiting patiently in the corner. They're going to burst out here with the speed boost. And Shanghai, they've been caught with their trousers down. Lee Jae-gon goes down immediately to freeze up onto Void as a D-Mech. Big Bionade from Izayaki, but the damage is done. And that is brutal. You might not think these seconds really matter, but when you only have a minute, that is a team fight removed straight away.
Yeah, one team fight down, but the Shanghai Dragons are in their spawn and they have opportunities
Fleta?
to... What on earth was that from Fleta? He was just hoping that he would be able to get out behind them and get a flank angle to be able to set up a dive for the future. But he can't, he gets abused, and Lip's Translocator is forced as well. This setup does not go well for the Shanghai Dragons here.
It's not indeed. I've almost wanted them to switch over to a mirror comp just to match them in the mirror, but Lip now forced backwards as well, but they get the opening pick onto Fitz. That's a big one. They need to contest this a little bit more. They have to play further forward here. The sticky bombs take down Marvel. We're getting into the overtime territory once more. Shanghai Dragons, they seem to have got this one in the bag. The question is at what cost, because they have only just begun to get this cart moving.
But the overtime spawns are very slow. You can see how slowly Topi is getting back into this. It almost seems like forever until he
Finally
respawns.
respawned.
Seoul are getting close to ultimates, but Lip's going to have an EMP as well. If they can use this EMP or this nano boost aggressively and wipe the Seoul Dynasty again, this is going to be a huge push.
Has to be picture perfect. Fearless has the primal rage, going to be utilizing it to see if he can disjoint the Seoul Dynasty. Now you can see them battering people away. EMP from Lip comes out. Huge amounts of damage, but they need to keep touching this card. You can see Fearless is just chucking his body at it. He does not want to get pushed away from the overtime. They do not want to C9 again, and they will not have that worry as the card slowly moves towards that point A objective. Shanghai Dragons, they played that one well. They played it aggressively. They knew what ultimates to use.
fight, Brett, but it's already been a fantastic push considering they only had 1 minute on the clock. But the Shanghai Dragons want to push it as far as they possibly can forwards. Seoul Dynasty are going to have double support on and the barrier. Fleta's got to go huge here. It's got to be something ridiculous.
Well, here we have it, the supercharger used early on. Seoul are taking this rough angle right round the corner. Sound barrier also going to be utilised, but have they realistically got anything? Fleta now using the duplicate over onto the Sigma. Pretty much early into this fight, the Gravitic Flux is going to send a couple of them up. Counter Gravitic Flux is going to be used here by Shanghai, sets them up, but the duplicate faded, so Fleta does not get it off to completion. But it looks like Shanghai Dragons might be winning this fight off. Fearless jumping into the background, takes out Marvel, and now it looks like they are pushing this one further forward. Shanghai with an almost impossible team fight win, despite the fact that they didn't have the ult advantage, despite the fact that they were in subpar positioning. They had to stay close to the cart, they had to stay glued to it. They win the team fight.
Oh, this is terrible now for the Seoul Dynasty. They can see their championship slipping away from them. The victory, the crown of the May Melee tournament is slipping away from them piece by piece. Shanghai have so many ults, they're almost destined to win this team fight.
EMP utilised now. Lip gonna be layering it down onto all of them. Fleta from on high, the focusing beam evaporates Prophet, takes him out of the fight. Shanghai Dragons, as you said, Josh, they are destined to win the team fight, and they're going to do just that. And this is looking like an impossible run of things. Think about how much time this overtime happened at their spawn door. At the spawn door for Shanghai.
The overtime spawns are just so long for the Seoul Dynasty, they can't get the regular fights that they would like. They're running a Lucio rush comp, they want to be contesting repeatedly, but the overtime spawns are so painfully slow. They still have a rally and double support all here, the Shanghai Dragons. This next fight is still winnable despite the fact that Prophet has Blizzard. Seoul must win here.
The pin from Marvel! The pin from Marvel onto Lip from downtown, it takes him out! And that is such a high-risk play, but it may have just paid dividends. The overtime burning for them, but Prophet's Blizzard locks them up. The supercharger as well provides the damage boost necessary. It overlaps onto everything that Seoul are chucking at them. And the Shanghai Dragons, with only a couple of players remaining, they will not hold for much longer. Fearless with the shield up. Not for much longer, though. Overtime finally going to be stopped in their tracks. And the Shanghai Dragons, despite the fact that they got 5 points there, I feel like they could have got a little bit more if it wasn't for Marvel's hero play there in the tail end of that fight.
True, I think it was a great play by Marvel, but there is no way that the Shanghai Dragons are upset with what they just accomplished. That's a monumental task on Junkertown, and what an amazing push for them. They had 1 minute on the clock, a single minute, and they lost the first team fight as well. Seoul Dynasty spawn camped them to begin with, and then from there, they reset and they demolished. They set up their ults perfectly, they cycled them brilliantly, they had plays when it mattered, and that is an amazing overtime push for the Shanghai Dragons. They have set themselves up for success. In order for the Seoul Dynasty to deny the reverse sweep here, it will take a miracle.
Yeah. What was looking like a scenario where Shanghai Dragons would have had to run a similar comp to Seoul and try and go for a forward hold is now completely open to Shanghai Dragons' interpretation. They can run whatever composition they want. Yep. This is their comfort comp now. Yep. They realize that all they have to do is realistically win maybe 2 team fights, and that's it. They win the series.
Honestly, only 1. They only have to delay and build ultimates until it gets into overtime somewhere in point B, and they could win 1 fight. If they want to play it very conservatively, they could just bank on that.
That might be the best play as well with the overtime spawners, but obviously not in effect just yet.
So much pressure on the Seoul Dynasty here to go up 3 maps in this series and have it slip away from them in overtime in this manner. It would be unthinkable. Prophet and Fitz just gathering their energy to try and tug this one back from the brink.
If Seoul are able to do this, they have the mental fortitude like I've never seen before from any team, but Shanghai, they're going for it. They do not want to be stopped. They do not want to be held here. Trying to go for this push attack now, trying to put the pressure into Prophet on the Reaper now. Void almost demeched, falling very low, has to rotate round the corner, moves out of the way to focusing beams. So much damage, the immortality field in the nick of time. Toby is saved. But what cost now? Marvel battered back. Is so low, and the sticky bomb takes him down. The opening pick that might have just sealed it for them, the EMP from Lip. It connects on the 3 targets, Shanghai Dragons. They found so many pickups off the back of it. The rally now going to be utilized to try and keep his team alive. Still winnable for Seoul here. Molten Core going to be laid down just to try and keep the players away, but Fearless is battering them back. The Primal Rage causing all sorts of disruption. Now, Seoul Dynasty forced over to those high mobility heroes. They need to try and contest this one. Fleta moving over to the Tourbillon, but he was not able to get his ultimate off in time. Blade, or not the blade, I should say the beam. It burns them down, indeed, Josh. The overtime, is it not enough? It is not enough whatsoever. The Shanghai Dragons have done it. I cannot believe what we have witnessed. The reverse sweep.
That's incredible, unbelievable scenes. And the Shanghai Dragons are on their feet. They can't believe what they've just accomplished. They should be so proud. The mental fortitude to keep themselves in that match is just absurd.
Yeah, and